Alright folks, it's Friday here at Bob's Magic Emporium. Time for the next all-new School of Magic. Classes in session every Friday right here on the School of Magic. Now, normally this is about teaching you an easy magic trick, but today we're not going to show you a magic trick. I'm going to show you how to make something really cool for your kids' shows, your stage shows, your cabaret shows, or something really cool you can film your YouTube videos in front of if you do the whole YouTube thing like I do. It's called Make a Backdrop today. So I'm going to show you how to make an inexpensive backdrop. And this backdrop you can make at like Home Depot or Lowe's for $20. It's not, and you're going to get into about $30 or $40 if you want to add more to it. I'll talk about that when we actually get to the later steps of this video. This will be a long video, but stick with me all the way to the end, folks, if you want to see how this turns out. Now, the first thing you're going to need to do is watch this entire video, then go on a shopping spree at your local hardware store. Here's what you're going to need to get. You're going to need to first get 3 10-foot lengths of 1-inch 40 schedule PVC pipe. So this is actually a 5-foot length. You're going to need to cut these in a little bit. I'll talk about that in a moment. But imagine this is 10 feet here. You're going to need 3 of these 10 feet, guys. You're also going to need 2 90-degree slip-in elbows. So there's 90 degrees, makes that little kind of square shape there in the corner. But slip-in means that it just slips right on the end of here. There's no twisting involved. With a slip-in elbow without threads means around the inside here there won't be any like ridges, like a screwdriver, like a screw head would be ridges. Kind of like a spiral staircase thing. That's what it would look like if it had thread in here. You don't want the threaded kind. You also need 8 T-shaped slip-in connectors. Again, without threads inside, and T-shaped, it looks like a T. I call it a 3-hole connector because there's 1, 2, 3 holes. And this one you don't need because it will run the project up in price a little bit more, but you can also have 8 slip-in end caps. So basically what those do is they go on the end of your PVC pipe to make a nice little cap on the end. You don't need that in my opinion, but if you want that, you can certainly get that. And if you don't have this at home, you need a PVC pipe cutting tool or a hacksaw. And both of those will work for this. I used a hacksaw to cut most of this. Okay, now let's just say, well, Bob, my family doesn't have a big enough car to transport 10-foot lengths of PVC pipe. That's all right, because at the store, you want to get a helpful store employee to cut the PVC pipe for you. They're going to make basically your big cuts, so they're easier to transport. Now, you're going to do some more smaller cutting at home, but if you get a really nice employee, you could probably ask them to do every single cut you're going to need right in store if you don't want to buy a hacksaw or a PVC pipe cutting tool. But if you already have a hacksaw at home, I would just say, so you don't have them make too many cuts and waste a lot of their time, then I would say make these big cuts in store and then make the little ones at home. All right, so the first thing you're going to have them do is you're going to have 3, remember I said you have 3 10-foot lengths of PVC pipe. You're going to have them cut 2 of the PVC pipe 10-foot lengths into 5 feet. So they're going to look like this. They're going to be 2 5-foot lengths, or I'm sorry, there's going to be 4 5-foot lengths used out of 2 10-foot sections of PVC pipe. So it just goes whack right into 5-foot lengths. So you need 4 5-foot lengths. Now your remaining 10-foot length is going to be cut into 2 3-foot lengths. So that's going to be 2 of these 3-foot lengths and 1 4-foot length. Goes like that. And then that's all you want the store employee to do in store. But like I say, if they're a really helpful store employee, then I would say maybe ask them in the nicest way possible to make all the cuts for you. But if your parents can help you cut the PVC pipe at home, or you happen to have a pipe cutting tool or a hacksaw, I would say do the rest of these cuts at home. Okay, so now you have 4 5-foot lengths of PVC pipe, and you have 2 3-foot lengths and 1 4-foot length. What you're going to do is from the remaining 5-foot section, so from your remaining, because they're all going to be cut into, from one of your, so 2 of the 5-foot sections you're going to put to the side, and you're going to keep the other 2. From the other 2, you're going to make 4 cuts, or 2 cuts in each. There we go. Sorry, I'm getting confused. You're going to cut 2 3-foot lengths and 2 2-foot lengths. But cut these from the remaining 5-foot sections. So you have 2 5-foot sections that won't be cut. Those are going to be put to the side. 2 will be cut to make 2 3-foot lengths and 2 2-foot lengths. And and then you're going to make this cut from the 2 3-foot sections that you got cut in store. Now, the one in store, you want to cut 4 18-inch lengths. That's the one you got cut in store, not the one you just cut from the 5-foot section. And by the way, if this is getting really confusing, it's okay because I'm going to put a link to a hard copy of the instructions that I found on our website. So I'm going to link that website down below, and you'll be able to see a hard copy of these instructions if you're more of a reader kind of learner. So 4 18-inch lengths cut from the 2 3-foot sections, and finally from the 4-foot section you got cut in store, you're going to cut 8 6-inch lengths. 8 6-inch lengths. Now this is the recommended on the hard copy, but I've actually made some modifications to the lengths of the PVC pipe, and I'll show you why I did that in a moment. All right. So once you've cut everything at home, this just goes together like a jigsaw puzzle. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get one of your T connectors, one of these guys, and you're going to get one of your, now I actually modified this, but this would be your 18-inch length here. That just goes in one end like this, and you get your other 18-inch length, and that goes in the other end. So now what you got is something kind of like that so far. Nothing goes in the top yet. Don't get ahead of me yet. Now, on the end of this one goes your T connector, but it's going to go like this. So it's going to go, the top here is going to point to the right. And just do that. So now you got a hole here, and everything on this side is pushed in. As you can see. Another T connector points to the left and goes on this end, like that. And you want to kind of hammer it in with your hand. Don't hammer it in too hard, because if you want to make this portable, you got to be able to get the PVC pipe out of these holes. So a little bit of a fair warning there. Okay, now the next one is going to be your 6-inch lengths that are going to go right here in each end. So there's 1, there's 2, and it just goes like that. It's going to be better. Don't follow what I'm doing here. Don't put this together in your hands. Put it together on the floor, because if you put it together in your hands, some of the PVC pipe may come out and roll around. So you don't want that. So try to put this together on the floor. But my camera won't show the floor at the same time, so I'm just doing it in my hands. All right. So you've got this together, and the shape you're going for is an eye. You want it to be in the shape of an eye. Now the modifications I've made to this. I made these about 1 foot in length. And I didn't do it on these yet, but on the other one you'll see over here in a moment, because you're going to make this twice. I've lopped the legs off to about 1 foot as well. What that's going to do, it's not going to make this stick out as far, because if you use the bigger poles, it sticks out like to here. It sticks out farther than this. So if you're going to use this in like your YouTube videos, and you don't have like a big enough area to have a big thing, because if you use bigger poles, I put this right against the wall, it stuck out to about like here. So it stuck out pretty far. So I cut these, and I cut the legs on the other one. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. But I cut the legs on the other one. So now they're a little shorter, so when I have them right against the wall, it doesn't stick out as far. Alright, so that's going to go right on the ground. Boom, just like that. Now you're going to need your 4-foot length of pole. So now these next poles, you don't do any modifications to. The legs were the only ones you could modify. Okay, so your pole just goes right in that top hole right here. So we're going to put that pole, just goes right down in there. Put that on the ground so I can get that pole in there. Okay, so now you've got some of it made, and you're going to need another T connector. This T connector, though, is going to face this way. So it's going to face to the left. All right, put it right down in there, hammer it in there a little bit, and get it sort of straight. Perfect. Okay, now your 3-foot pole goes right down in here, and get that down in there. Perfect. And you also are going to need your 90-degree slip-in elbow. And that goes in right here at the top. All right, so there you go. You've got one post made. So I'm going to try to show this. Hopefully I don't hit the ceiling. But, oh, I hit the wall instead. So you've got that. Sorry for the very close angle. And then it goes just like that. So you're going to make one of these and do the exact same process for number 2. Number 2 has already been made, so you don't have to watch me make it again. All right, there's number 2. And I want to show you number 2's legs. All right, hopefully I don't hit the ceiling. Notice that number 2's legs are a little shorter. I didn't cut them all yet because I haven't had a chance to cut them all yet. But notice that these 2 right here are a little shorter. They're a little bit shorter. And it still supports it, which is nice. All right, and just make sure that your middle T connector right here is pointing towards the other one. Don't have it pointing this way because if you do, you can't connect your pole in the middle there. Okay. So get a good distance on these. Hopefully I can get this all in on camera here. And it's not super stable. It's going to want to like lean a little forward. So all you really got to do though is just play with your legs and play with your poles here because you know you can kind of rock them back and forth to get them standing up straight. All right. So now you have your final 2 poles left over. Should be your 5-foot pole. One goes here and here. So we're going to plug that in right there. All right, there's one. And we're going to try to get that other one in here. And 2. All right. Sorry to turn my back on you there for a minute. All right, great. And just kind of hammer those in just a little bit. Now, you could, if you wanted to, which I think I may, when I do like children's parties, I may just leave the one pole here. They do recommend putting in the other pole right down in here, and I'll put that in a moment. But I think what I kind of want to do is have this like a backstage area when I do kids shows. So like some of my props can be back here, so I kind of go behind it to get some props back here I don't want kids to see. Like this especially would be nice too if you have a nice big backdrop that goes from the top all the way to the bottom. You could have a rabbit back here and you could hide it from the kids' view. If you do like live animals like doves or rabbits, you could have them sitting back here. The kids won't even know you've got a rabbit. And you can load the rabbit into a rabbit production box or something like that. And then you can bring the production box out on stage and kids won't even know that you've thrown a rabbit in there. So you kind of have nice cover back here. Okay. And the next thing you're going to want to do is if you want to use this, you can put the support pole right in here. The only thing though is if I do this for like kids shows, you have to either duck underneath the support pole. Whoops, that just came out. You're probably shouting at your computer screens. It came out, it came out. I know it did. All right. Perfect. And I think if you can, have somebody help you set this up. Because it's better if somebody's holding like one end while you're pushing in the other end. All right, so there you go. That's what it's going to look like, a really weird goalpost, soccer goal looking thing. But that's what it's going to look like when it's all done. What I was getting ready to say before that came out was you either would have to duck underneath this if you wanted to put props back here or walk behind it. So that's why I kind of want to take this pole out when I do kids shows. And so I can have like a little arch, kind of like a little entrance way to the back here. Now, the next thing is, I bought a nice backdrop for this. It's just like my brick wall. By the way, if you don't know, my brick wall is plastic material. This is really nice if you're looking for cheap, inexpensive backdrops for like a wall or something, or even for a stand like this. These plastic backdrops can run anywhere from $5 to, if you get a more fancy one with a lot of design on it, all the way up to about $16. So they're really inexpensive, and it's nice because you get like a whole roll of backdrop. Like this came in a nice big roll. To put this entire wall up, I bought 2 backdrops, thinking I wouldn't have enough. I bought 2 rolls. I didn't even use half of a roll putting this wall up. So you get a lot of, and this wall is like, I think it's like 10 feet across. So it's really big. Yeah, it's probably got, because this pole here is about 5, and it takes up goes about halfway, so it's probably like a 7-foot wall, and you get a lot of backdrops. So anyways, what I was getting ready to say was I bought a like kind of curtain, like a stage curtain. What it is, it's 2 plastic backdrops, the same kind of material, and what it is they're in 2 sections, and you just have So you can have like a little curtain here. So that's going to be nice when I do parties because I can stand in front of it, having a nice little curtain. Some other little tips you can also do. I'm going to put a backdrop on here, by the way, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Another tip is when I talked about the 4-foot pole here, or down here, this is the 3-foot, that's the 4-foot. You can change up these if you want. You can either change the length of this one up, or you can go buy another one of these T connectors, or a two-way T connector. Two-way T connector is basically just this part here, and it doesn't have a hole here. You could go and buy more PVC pipe if you wanted to raise this up a little bit. Notice that my head is right at the top of this. So if I wanted to go out and buy more PVC pipe, hopefully I don't break this as I lift it up, I could go out and buy more and I could raise it up a little taller if I wanted. But I think this is a nice height. This is a nice height. This could also be used for many different things, not just magic. If you wanted to start your own photography business and you wanted to buy a photography stand, this is perfect. It's a perfect photography stand. Because photography stands, professional made ones, go for like 90 bucks and they're in this exact same shape, except they use a little sturdier material and easier to transport material. This stuff is still easy to transport, but it's easier because it kind of all folds into itself. Another thing you can do, and this will take the project up even more. By the way, to make just the frame, for me it was about 22 bucks to make just the frame. I had to spend about 28 because I had to buy a hacksaw because we didn't have one at home so I could make the cuts. It's actually, the whole project cost me about 40 because I had to buy the backdrop as well. I wanted to buy a backdrop for this. But anyways, another thing you could do is if you wanted to, you could buy spray paint and spray paint some of this. Now, basically, if you're going to put a backdrop over here, and the backdrop is going to go from the top all the way down to the floor like mine will, the only thing you would really need to spray paint are the feet, or the sections that come out on the eye. So if you have the eye, the sections that come out like this would be the only sections you would really need to spray paint, if you wanted to even spray paint it, because when you put a backdrop on here, this top pole, this middle pole, and all these side poles are going to be covered. Another thing you also want to buy, and I found them really cheap on eBay. I found a pack of 6 for $4.50 and free shipping. You're going to need some, if you're going to buy any kind of backdrop, you can do one of two things. You're going to need some heavy-duty clamps. So some of those, almost like heavy-duty chip clip kind of things, but they're clamps, so you can clamp it. So I bought some clamps on eBay to go along with my backdrop. Another thing you can also do is some backdrops can be threaded, so you can put them inside of a pole. And what you can do is they have like a little hole. If you can find a backdrop with a 1-inch hole, you could, if you wanted to, take off, maybe this end's easier. Okay, you could take off, okay, that's falling. You could take off your end, you could thread the backdrop all the way across the top of this pole, if you wanted to do that instead of getting heavy-duty clamps. Let me get this back up here so it doesn't fall over on me there. All right, and another thing you can also do, I was trying to think of what else. I had something else, I think I lost it. But let me put the backdrop up and show you what it looks like. I just got kind of a bed sheet here. This is not the best, not the best backdrop that I could find, but it was something quick that I could kind of find. All right, so there you go. It just kind of goes up like that. I know it's a hideous looking color, and it doesn't even fit around here very well. But if you can find a backdrop that's like a rectangle, it's gonna look a lot better. But basically you get the gist of it though. And if you can try to find a backdrop also. If you're gonna use this like in your magic shows, try to find one that does go all the way down. It goes all the way down to the floor. Some stuff you can find are shower curtains. Will work perfectly as a backdrop. They're the same kind of plastic material. And you can use a shower curtain. You could use a blanket. If you have a blanket that you wanted to use, you could buy a cheap and expensive blanket. You could buy a cheap and expensive bed sheet, and you can put a bed sheet up here. The best thing, too, is for backdrops, you're limited by your own imagination and your own skill, too. I mean, if you don't have any, what I was thinking is you could buy a bed sheet. You could sew things on the bed sheet if you're really good at sewing. You could put, if you have a magic logo, or you could cut out magic words out of like felt. You could cut out letters and stuff, and you could sew them onto a bed sheet, and you could have like a nice backdrop. The possibilities are endless. Another thing too is with this kind of backdrop here, this plastic material, the brick wall, there's many different patterns. I've seen Wild West saloons, I've seen police stations and jail cells, I have seen brick walls, stone walls, castle walls, theater curtains with lights on the top, like stage lights. So there's a lot of backdrops out there, and like I say, these are very inexpensive when I bought these. You know, I think I found a good deal on this brick wall. I think for 2 rolls, I think I bought it for like 16 bucks. Still of a deal, so really cool. Now, one other thing I want to do is, before I end the video, which I know, I'm sorry this video is really long, I want to show you how easy this is to take apart and store away, or you could get a bag, and you could try to find a bag that you could put all these in, like a gym bag or something like that. Let me show you how easy this is. Again, all you do is you try to find the, one of these ends always comes out easier. I recommend the middle pole goes out first, all right? And you got to kind of twist these poles around to get it to come out. So you do the middle pole, and then you do your 2 top poles. There's 1, there's 2, and this will take you about not even 10 minutes to set up, maybe even less than 5. All right, there's the other pole out. All right, and the best thing is when you take these out, I had to do this so I could show you what it looks like all set up for the video, but you could leave some of the connectors on these ends too. So that can go straight in the bag. You're fine. Make sure if you do have a bag or something, you make sure you have it big enough to store the 5-foot poles. Leave the connector on this end, take this off, and then you just deconstruct everything on here. Take these out, take these legs off, just like that. So boom, and take these legs off like that, boom and boom. And you do the same thing with the other side. You deconstruct it in like, 5 seconds, and you can put it up in like 10 minutes. So, it's nice if you can take it to because parents aren't going to expect you to bring your own backdrop. And I think it really adds something. I've seen magicians who do backdrops for their shows, and it really adds something. Some magicians I've talked about a lot on here, Peter Wood or Shazam Magic, a local magician here in the Maryland area. He has backdrops he brings to all of his shows. They're basically huge banners, but they add a little something to his show. So if you can bring a professional quality looking backdrop, even if it's one of these plastic ones, like stage curtains or something, they even have ones that look like a starry night or something like that. It's going to add something to your show and make your show stand out even more, and you're going to look like an even more professional performer. All right, sorry about the long video here, but I had to cover everything in this backdrop. Now, if you have any questions on this backdrop, because I know some of the steps for the cutting, some of it was a little, hard to follow. Feel free to comment or personal message me, and I will respond back and help you make this really cool looking backdrop. And also the link for the instructions that I found on the website, this website that I found, are down below. So make sure that you check that out too if you want to have a hard copy of the instructions while you're making this thing. All right, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you make this backdrop, I want you guys to share it on your YouTube channels. So don't just share the construction process. Don't just share it finished. I want you to put a backdrop up, share it if you make it, and let me see the backdrops you guys use and how you guys make this your own. Oh, one other thing too I want to talk about. The instructions say if you want to, all of your connections, you can glue all of your connections. You can use PVC glue or pipe glue. You can, but first of all of the fittings fit together really nicely, snug and tight, so you don't really need those connectors. And second, if you want it portable to take to your shows, I would recommend not gluing it, because then you can't get it unstuck. You can't get it off, and you can't make it portable. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to share it if you build this. And remember, it's a nice little rainy day project to do, and you can do it for about 20 bucks. So very inexpensive. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next Friday for another all-new The School of Magic. You know how to mix up cards? You say, "You are not cards. You are not cards." The magic karate works. Whoops. Okay. Yes. Perfect. Of course, you get the 2 tubes, and you get a certain amount of bottles. Let me grab party. Adults love the trick too, don't get me wrong, but I think kids love it a little bit more than it looks. It looks like you're actually taking and shuffling the cards.